just slow down the tram a little bit so it's going at a more moderate pace while we take a look at the 2023 Winter Village before I dismantle it. There's 3 things that I really want to change this year from what I have now, and after that everything's sort of very much in flux. The first thing is I'm absolutely going to Mills plate up the Winter Village, and it's not because I'm going to be taking this to conventions or anything like that and need to be portable. It's because when I'm sitting here on the floor, as you can see, it's just off the floor, and I'm trying to put pieces in the center here, it's really quite challenging on my back and my knees, and I'm kind of old and I don't really want to do that. Things like when I was working on this gravel path here and I'm leaning over into it, it was really difficult to do. I also ran out of parts, and that's okay. I've got more parts for this year. But it was kind of taxing on my back and everything, and it would just be so much easier to get the detailed look that I'm looking for if I can actually have it in front of me at desk height and work with it. Mills plating will also let me achieve better scenes kind of like this, where the seals are trying to go into the ice. Obviously, I don't have depth here, so I created fake depth with this little thing that I built, and it's just going to look so much better if I can do that in a Mills plate capacity. So Mills plating is going to be a wonderful thing. It will also mean that my train tracks, as you can see, they're rough while sitting on the plates right now. They'll be embedded in the plate, and that's actually the first thing I am going to tackle this year, is sorting out the track layout in Mills plates before I do anything else. To make things a little bit more complicated, this year over here at the back, I really want to create basically a raised platform with a cliff edge. And on that platform will be like Santa's area. So everything that I kind of have here at the side, on this side of the Winter Village, is going to be on that platform. We will have the elf clubhouse, right, that we have right here. Oh, I'm getting in the way of the tram, sorry! I want to put the elf clubhouse up there. Next to that will go Santa's post office that comes out next week. I'm so excited about that. It's my birthday tradition to go and pick up that set. I got the Main Street the first year, and I got the Alpine Lodge last year. And I've only been collecting Lego for 2 years, so we're now only into the 3rd year of having that opportunity. But back to the raised platform, so I'm going to put the Elf Clubhouse up there. I really want to put the workshop up there. This is a little gift with purchase set that we got, I think it was 2 Christmases ago. And I want to complete this into a little building and have that kind of next to the Elf House Club and the post office. You will notice there's quite a few things in the Winter Village that have fallen over, and that's because when my cats have gotten here in the last 10 months, they like to walk across it, and I haven't sort of repaired anything. And honestly, based on that fact, I think it's actually held together pretty well over the course of the last 10 months. So good for them. Another thing I want to point out is this Winter Village was finished around New Year's. It was very much sort of, I don't want to say thrown together at the very end. That's a little disingenuous to the amount of effort my friend and I put into it. But we definitely kind of had the structure, and then we filled in all the details in sort of one go and sort of went with it. There wasn't as much time put into it as it deserved. And that's why I'm really excited about this year too, because I'm sort of starting it a bit earlier. Hopefully get enough time to order parts and get ideas from YouTube comments, and I'll be able to actually make it better than it is now and have probably better buildings. Things like these little stalls that we got in the DWP last year. It'd be really cool to probably put both of those together into one larger stall and do better things like that. And I just feel like I'm looking at my side. My friend did the other side. She did a better job than I did. But like this Harry Potter side, there's a lot of empty space here, and there really doesn't need to be. So the thing about the platform as well, I suppose I should mention it, is it's going to obviously have the train track going through it, so there's going to be a tunnel. Now that's going to complicate my life a little bit, because right now you can see the train track is as far back as it can possibly go, and it's going to have to come forward to actually allow the sort of cliffside structure to exist. So everything's going to be shifted a bit. And right now I'm kind of okay with that, because if you look on the other side of this post, it's sort of this water area that is just sort of a place where boats live, and it hasn't really been developed. So for the next few months, if I end up going out another base plate, fine. So number 1 is Mills plate. Number 2 is platform for Santa. And the number 3 thing is this weird castle thing that I have at the front that I think is probably unique to me. I don't think many people combine Castle and Winter Village together, but it's something that I did last year and I want to do more of this year. The idea is how I split the water from the ice that's going behind. I'm going further into that theme this year by having 2 dragons. One will be the ice dragon, and the second one is going to be the fire dragon. And the concept is the fire dragon is trying to melt the snow so that this will turn into water, so it's better for the boats. And the ice dragon is basically protecting the Winter Village from this invasion. There's plenty of snow guardians protecting as well. They're throughout the Winter Village. They all come with their huskies. They're from CMF Series 22, I think. And I bought like 40 of them because I wanted like a little snow guardian army. So they're everywhere. There's snow troopers and scout troopers all over the Winter Village as well. There's also protecting, and I got the robot penguins from the latest CMF series to also help be a protector with that snow dragon. What you're seeing here is actually a rebrickable model. It uses 3 of the 3-in-1 medieval castle sets. That set's actually retiring at the end of this year, so if you haven't got one of those and you kind of like Castle, there's a lot of really great rebrickables for it too. The rebrickable model though, it does have a bit here and a bit here, and I have actually built those now. And there's also instructions for towers that can go at either side, and I have 2 more unused sets that I can put together to create that, and that will hopefully bridge the entire gap along this front, so there'll be nothing between the water and ice, which I didn't quite manage last year because I just sort of ran out of time. So we should have basically edge-to-edge castle protection from the water into the Winter Village. With all the plans laid out, it is time to take down the Winter Village. It was actually very quick to do. I have one of those little containers with 16 drawers in it, and I just put the mini builds and minifigures in there, and then I have a big sort of tub that I put all of the larger sets into. It's probably not the most careful I've put things away, but they're only going to be there for a few weeks and then they'll be coming back out into the village. Now that the village is put away, it's time to look at some parts that I bought to make 2024's village even better. Every Winter Village needs parts, and the first thing I got was 1400 4x4 white plate. I found these from a Bricklink seller, and it was basically if you bought $200 worth of product, you got free shipping, and what I actually needed to cover the entire Winter Village just using 4x4s, I needed like $180 worth or whatever, so I just bought extra. I don't think it will go wrong. I can use it elsewhere if I don't need it here, but also I probably have underestimated how much plate I'll actually require for all the things that I want to do. So I got plenty of plate. I got 4x4s because it's easier to pull it up and create little like crevices, like ice lakes and things, and sort of texture and paths and the train tracks. So it just sort of made sense to me to pick all that up. My next Bricklink order was this massive one from Belgium. It's so many tiny parts, and I'm excited to show you what's in this box. Believe it or not, everything in that box was 13,000 pieces. It doesn't look like much because so many of them are just 1x1 elements, but wow, that's going to add a lot of texture to not only the Winter Village, but also the underwater area and a little bit for the city as well. Let's take a closer look exactly what I managed to pick up. I found the seller because they were the best place to get these particular Technic elements. I figured that I need about 250, 300 of them to mills plate the entire Winter Village, so they were the best price for the number that I was buying. So that's what started me at this particular Bricklink store, and I'm pretty thrilled to have a haul of these, so at least it looks nice and white and crisp on the edges. I do actually need these because my tables are pretty uneven, and it will help just stabilize some of the mills plates, and also some of the mills plates are going to be pretty tiny little pieces to fill in those edges. So that was part number 1. 300 of those. I also bought over 800 of these Translight Blue 1x1 round tiles. They came in bags of all different sizes, just the way this particular Bricklink store operates. So there's lots of little bags of them, but should be 800 of them in total. The biggest purchase in the set were these 1x1 Translight Blue tiles. They're going to be used not only in the Winter Village, but also to do some water work eventually too. But I think for the Winter Village, this will be great for creating ice rinks and sort of waterfall areas and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm excited to have plenty of these on hand. They came in bags of 100, so I have quite a few of them. I have 625 of these 1x1 studs. They should be perfect for creating, again, the waterwork texture and just having that ability to have basically something to stick into the water so it's not all flat and add a little bit of texture. I think stacking these to create waterfall work along with the 1x1 rounds that I have should be pretty nice. And I do want to sort of incorporate some of sort of waterwork coming down the mountain that I have planned. So I think these are going to be great pieces for that. Speaking of 1x1 studs, I have 1,200 of these. Again, you just stack these up and they're perfect for waterwork coming around down the mountain. I just think these will be absolutely incredible. Ooh, there's a little trans one that kind of got in there. It'll find a home. I don't think that's too much of a problem. All in, like, I think bags of 100, so that's why it looks like there was more different kind of part types than there really are. As you can see by the number at the top, there's 990 trans clear studs in this bag. Great for texturing and creating more of that ice work that I've been talking about. I also picked up 200 of these 1x2 trans clear tiles. I think they're just going to be good for creating ice work. I'm not entirely sure if I needed as many of these, but they were a good price, and so I got 4 of the little 50 bags of them. The last trans clear element I got was 200 1x1 tiles. I think they're just going to be great for texturing out some ice work. So the most I bought by part type was this. I bought 2,000 of these quarter round gray tiles. A lot of them are going to be used in the city, but in terms of Winter Village, this will help create the little pathways that I had last year. I sort of ran out of parts and the effect of that wasn't so great, so I have them in dark bluish gray, black, and they only had a few in white. Again, for texturing the roads, I have the 1x1 rounds in light bluish gray and white. I did order them in black, but unfortunately they didn't come in the shipment. Sort of missed one little baggie out, but it's okay. The seller took care of me. It wasn't a problem. Again, for road work, I have 1x1 plate in dark bluish gray, light bluish gray, and brown. I have a couple hundred in the grays and 100 in the browns. So I found some of these, which is pretty sweet, but I also found them on the pad wall, so yeah, whatever. 800 dark bluish gray studs. So that's going to be the fundamental foundation for the gravel road this year. The more parts you throw at it, the better it looks. So these were a really good deal. Picked up 800 of those. Oddly, the metallic gray was cheaper than the dark bluish gray, so I picked up the 800 they had of those. They were such a great deal, and I just think these will shimmer nicely in the Winter Village as the gravel path because of the ice, and I can kind of get away with it. If not, I'll use them somewhere. It's not that big a deal. 400 of the light bluish gray studs to finish off what I'd be able to do with the gravel path. The final element is 500 of these trans dark blue 1x1 plates. These are mostly going to be used for the underwater area, but I was buying from the seller anyway, so I picked these up. All these little bags were from Your Bricks in Belgium, and the plate came from Heartbricker here in the United States. That came really fast. It was like shipped the same day. It was incredible. These came fast too, actually. From Belgium, I expected it to be a couple of weeks. It was here within a week. I mean, as you can see, beautifully packaged as well. Very happy. But this isn't all the parts that I have because I have been busy on the pad wall picking up whatever I could find. So let's take a look at that. A few weeks ago, I was able to pick up a lot of pad, and I qualified for this GWP by doing so. I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking, this could actually go in the Winter Village. I just noticed this, like, I mean, I know it's supposed to be marble, but I could make this snow at the bottom, and this could be like a fun thing. I don't really have a plan for it in my head right now where it could go, but it's something I'll just sort of keep in mind just in case. The first pad box has a lot of these tree elements. I would love them in dark green or even the olive green, but bright green is what you're going to get in the pad wall, and I'm not going to say no. The rest of the box is filled with these half rounds. Such a fantastic piece, and so pleased to see them on the pad wall. This next box is spilled into the bag. Don't worry, this was jam-packed fill. I got some nice 2x4 white brick, which obviously is just great to have for anything in Winter Village. And if I can't think of something to actually build with it, it's great for helping me do Mills plates. I was so excited that these elements were on the pad wall. They're just perfect for creating snow texture. So I have a lot of those in these boxes too. This box is jam-packed filled with 1x12. I got these for Mills plating mostly. I could use them for some sort of nice building. I do have other parts that could be used, but I don't know about a white building in a Winter Village. I feel like there's enough white already. So mostly I got these for Mills plate. The manager found these for me at the back. You can imagine how excited I was. I've got half a box of those right here, and they're also interspersed with the other boxes that I got that day to fill in any gaps. This box is similar to the last one. I've got the 1x12, and I also have the 1x3. The 1x3 I just thought would be kind of a nice part to have. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to use it for. And then I filled up the side with more of those 1x2 curved slopes. This box is pretty much the same as the last one with the 1x12 and the 1x3. And then I filled up the edges with those little teeth elements because I would rather have too many of them than too few. The final box I got that day was a little bit different. It has the dark green tree limb elements and it had the red flowers, and I thought, you know, that's perfect for a winter village. That's the exactly winter village scheme. And then I threw in a few of these little rock panels because I am going to have a little mountain, and I don't know how useful they would be, but I figured having them is better than not having them. So I put some of those in the box too. A couple weeks ago I went to the LEGO store. Forgive this box, I was rummaging through it for something. They actually had a little of the 2x2 white brick, which obviously is a Mills Plate dream, and I bought everything they had left of that, which was about half a box. I then filled it up with these 2x2 Delight dark gray, which I use for Mills plating all of my city things, and they're just a fantastic part to get here. The first time I bought these from LEGO, and now I see them on the pad wall, I get so excited. And then I just filled up this box with some 4x4 green plate and some 1x2 green slopes, which are going to be great for when I eventually get around to making my enchanted forest. The next box is also the least exciting of the 4 that I got that day. More of the 2x2 dark gray brick. I think that came from that one. It's just sort of got muddled up. They also have 1x4 tan masonry bricks. This is a great part. I actually have quite a bit of it already, but when it's sitting there, you kind of want to just take it. I'm not really entirely sure right now what I'm going to do with it. I don't even know if it's going to be in the winter village, but it was perfect to just top off the boxes, so I got some of that. This box is very similar to last. I've got some 1x4 tan masonry, more of that 2x2 brick, which is actually what I went to the pad wall for, was to get it for my city, because I was sort of running out when I was Mills plating all them. Also got some 2x1 dark tan plate, which I think I'm going to use when I eventually get around to it for the beach to create sort of that it's wet sort of look. Now that box actually had something in it that I didn't show you because this entire box is full of it. This is an entire box of 1x2 white masonry bricks. I was giddily excited. They had a few that were sort of left out, you know, from a previous pad wall, you know, when they put it in the little trays at the front, and I was like, oh, and I filled all of them. That's the half boxes in there. And then she went to the back, the nice manager lady, and got me what was left in the box, and that basically filled this entire box. So this took a long time to pack, but I don't regret it. I was waiting for an appointment anyway, so it wasn't even like I lost time technically doing that. So yeah, a whole box of 1x2 masonry bricks. As I said before, I'm not really sure that I want to make a white building for the winter village. I think there might be too much white already, but maybe this will actually be fine when I intersperse it with other colors. I have a lot of the dark green masonry brick from the Ministry of Magic sets. I think I have 3 of them completely unopened that I was going to part out to build something, and these might help to sort of offset the darkness of the color. I sort of need to get some inspiration about what that was, but when I saw this part on the pad wall, I was like, I'm taking it. So everything I got from the pad wall recently is mostly foundational parts, but there are a few decorative elements like the tree limbs and these masonry bricks, and of course the trees, which will help bring a lot of color and life to the winter village. And of course, this is mostly for my city, but you never know, I might need some of this in the middle of the Mills plates for the winter village as well, because I won't have enough white because there was only half a box. Picked up 15 of the Robot Penguin from the Space CMF series. I think these are going to be fantastic in the winter village. I sort of think I want to put them on the back of Huskies to kind of make the Snow Guardians a little bit more technologically advanced, or I could pair them up with the Snow Troopers. I think 15 is a good number, not too many, not just 1 or 2, could be a whole fleet of them. Pretty excited to use these to create some details and stories in the village. Woohoo! Winter Village Challenge 1 is how to put train track on my base plate. First task, make a Mills plate. Done. 1 base plate isn't enough though for a corner. 1, 2, and 3. Let's line it up. The camera's kind of in the way. Okay, 3 base plates. For a corner, I'm going to have 2 straights. Closest in it could go is 6 studs because I want the Mills plate corner, and I need these, as I said in my earlier part of my video, for the pins. So we got the basic structure, and then I have to figure out how to connect them. And I did some math earlier, so I'm cheating a little here. Perfect fit. Woo! So that seems like a really good corner layout. I basically have the same as I did last year, except instead of 4 curves, I have 3 curves and 3 of these, I don't really know what you call them, connector parts that come in those train packs. I don't actually know their official name, but that seems to create a curve that fits within the sort of 3 standard base plate size to make it work. So I'm going to make 4 of these and 2 straights to create the circuit. Let's see how that looks. Well, there's the track all laid out. We've got 4 corners and then 2 pieces of straight track on the base plate. It looks pretty much like last year. It does seem to be a little longer. I'm only 6 more studs in, but yet when you come down here, there isn't room there for the castle, and I am going to have to encroach more into the blue area. Funnily enough, it was supposed to be just one of these boards, so I'm now 2 base plates and bigger than I had already anticipated for my Winter Village when I first started. But Winter Village makes me so happy, I am not complaining. Right now, all I've done to all these is, because they were prototypes, is put the corners of the most plates together, and if the track looks pretty good, test it out, we're good to go. There is 6 clear base plates, completely uninterrupted by track, that will be for the middle. But buildings will go onto these parts of these base plates too. I don't mind sort of creating sort of basically stamps for where they're going to go and then come in and push the building into place. It doesn't have to be all part of the same thing, because these modules for the corners are already 3 base plates. And then up here, the mountain has to start on this base plate. So I'll talk more about that in a second. But first, let's make sure that the tram actually goes round and everything sort of is going to be the way I want it to be before I do more work on this and then have to go and redo it all again. So let's turn it on. Oops, going the opposite way. Woo! Okay, yeah, it's sort of getting some of the sort of little twitches there. It is getting a little caught up, but I think that's okay. If I turn them around the same direction, that should work pretty well. So as fast as she goes, her batteries might be dying. But that's not bad. That's pretty cool. And yeah, so we got to fix that. Excellent. So yay! The train track works just fine. That's great to see. I brought over the corner again because I've now got some big decisions I have to make. First thing I did notice was, though, I didn't put these little sections in all the same way on this particular track. I think this piece they are, but I think in others they're different, and the tram was sort of getting caught as it went out. I think you're supposed to only run it this way. Sort of the downside of using these versus just the regular curve. I will go through and make sure they're all the same way, and then I'll know to just run the tram that way. But one thing I would really like advice on, and I hope someone can comment in the next couple of days and give me some thoughts on what to do here, is, do I need to tack down this curve more? Last year, it had no tack down, and it wasn't tacked down in that little run through there, and the tram worked fine for me. I'm not going to be using this for anything faster or more sophisticated than the little Main Street tram. But also, I want to do it right. I don't want to somehow negatively affect things in the future. If I do tack it down, then I have some options, I believe, right? First thing is I could do proper ballasting, which, as far as I understand from watching YouTube videos, is basically tiling underneath and then adding jumpers so that the curved parts are tacked down incrementally, so basically it doesn't flop like this, right? The other option is I could sort of take a cheap and easy way out and use plate underneath to raise it up, and use the little turntable pieces in some of the corner parts to hold it in place. In fact, I saw one video where he used just one, and that's all he needed, and it was fine, and then placed a bit of plate here and there underneath, or studs even, just to keep it balanced. That's obviously like the cheap and cheerful way to do it. So my first question really is, do we think that tacking down just the straight, because this isn't even tacked down properly, I can push this properly into place, is that enough for the track, or should I really go through the effort of putting this down as well, considering what it's for and the size of that track on the Winter Village? The next question I have is, if I don't raise it up by 1, do I need to? As it's going to be on a mills plate, I am going to be mills plating around the track. So I'm just adding this just as a quick sort of demonstration of what I'm thinking. I'd have my brick like normal and then my plate. And so once that's done at its current height, if it's on just the base plate, this will be below the height of the plate. So if I raise it up 1, which some people might think I need to do to secure down the corner of the track, and then they would be level. And if no one thinks I really do need to put the effort in and use the pieces and the time to raise this up, then it would be down 1. And I think that might look good because it would mean like it snowed and the snow's covering more of the ground and like less of the track because the track's getting cleared as the tram goes by it all the time. So it sort of makes sense that you would see the rails, but the snow might be higher than it, and it could look really cool. The other thing I really want to do is cover up all the gray of this track. I could do that either by using tile or I could use plate. I very much want it to be white, but I feel like if I keep covering this, and again I'm just using this as an example, covering this in white plate, it might get a little bit too much white, and that might not actually look that great. It's going to be a little harder on these corners. I do have some interesting shaped pieces from bulk lots. Hopefully I have what I need to actually make that look good. I don't really know what I want to do right now, which is sort of why I'm going to stop the video right now. Hopefully people can give me a little bit of hint the next couple of days, and then I can make that decision and go forward with whatever it is I want to do. And then once that decision has been made, I can start making a tunnel, and the tunnel will be like up here. It won't be in the center of the mills plate, which is really kind of what I wanted. I thought that would actually look really cool to be right in the middle for symmetrical reasons. But I think, you know, I have enough real estate here, 6 studs to build up and then arch across and then build down, and then sort of I can decide how much of that part here I want to give to a mountain. It's definitely an engineering problem that I don't know how to tackle right at this moment. But first thing I have to do is figure out the train track, and then I will work on the mountain. And I hope that I can have both of those at least sort of further along by the time I release my next update, which will hopefully be in just a week's time. I'll leave you once again looking at the 2023 Winter Village. The tram going around just brings me such joy, and it's going to be fantastic to see it up and running again in this new layout. I want to thank you so much for watching today. Do subscribe to the channel so you can find out what happens next in my Winter Village. But most importantly, have a great day, and if you're going out to get the post office on release day, enjoy the experience, enjoy the build. I'll get mine next week.